Hey guys, welcome back to the Community Cares Podcast. I'm Dave. I'm the Executive Director here at Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet.
And I'm Chaplain Chaz Blackburn, and I have the honor of being the president of Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet. And I really do say every single episode that we have a special guest, but this is probably one of the most important episodes we've ever done for me. Someone I admire that helped get my start in chaplaincy and gave me a chance. And from that, some beautiful organizations have developed that I've been able to be honored to be a part of. And so I'll let her introduce herself for both roles of where you work.
Thank you. I am Michelle Cagle, and I am the president of the Circle of Life Hospice Foundation and the CEO and administrator of Circle of Life Hospice.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
It actually showed up. And, no, we didn't have to reschedule. You're a busy lady.
Schedules are crazy, man.
Yes.
You know. And I've had to cancel on a lot of people lately just because of my new baby. That's been taking a lot of time.
Oh, come on.
It was funny. Chaz was holding my baby during the radiothon. We got a picture, and he wanted to post it, but he's all like, I can't post it. I'm like, why? Because he was crying.
I was holding it like this. He just looked so unhappy. He's like,
it was so funny. And Nika, my wife, she was funny. She laughed, and he's like, you laughed at me when he cried at me. I'm like, that's funny. That's a fun time. So we're so glad to have you guys here, and thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. We are on episode 81. So because of you, we're able to keep doing this. We say this all the time, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, and Chaz does too. We are really supported by viewers like you. I know it's a cheesy PBS thing, but it's true. It's true. And we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet, if you don't know, is a nonprofit here in Sparks, Nevada, and we also serve Reno, Carson, all over the place, and this is the Community Cares Podcast that we do here at Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. And if you're watching live and you're on Facebook, feel free to comment. We try to mention all those comments and have that conversation with you, the listener. So thank you guys so much.
And also, you just were able to come here for the first time to get a tour, and we were here for a really special event. Do you want to share about that?
Yeah, we did our radiothon here on the 20th. We did it from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. It was a long day.
That was a long day.
And thank you, Dave, for hosting us. It was a really fun day. We did really well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Opportunity to grow, but what a blessing to be able to do that every year to drive awareness and raise funds. And I'm so excited about the upcoming events. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, the radiothon was crazy. Like, the stations were here inside of Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet. Blew me away how it all worked. I was really nervous because Chaz is like, hey, can you make those phones work? I'm like, we cut off the phone lines. We don't have phone lines. I'm like, all right, well, we'll have to figure this out. So we did the Wi-Fi phones, and it worked. And Chaz freaked me out. It was like right before we were supposed to go live, and he's like, Dave, it's not working. I'm like, dude, no.
I got the number wrong. I'm just making sure.
You got the number wrong. I was like, thank goodness it worked. But it was cool, and a lot of people called in, and it was a fun event, and to see the different radio personalities around here at Good Shepherd, that was really cool.
It was cool, and I'd never been here.
Yeah.
You've got a great establishment here, which I'd like to help support further.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about our upcoming events.
Well, the first one, do you want to talk about it? No.
You got it.
The Circle of Life Guest House ribbon cutting, the Reno and Sparks Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting. This is super special. This is a historic event, and it's only going to happen once for the original pilot of the guest house. And so we're going to be over at the Reno Public Market. So shout out to Mike, the general manager, and the team for being the sponsor host and donating that space. And why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Michelle? What's it all about?
So our ribbon cutting for we're actually announcing to the community, and the ribbon will be cut for our opening of our guest house. Our guest house opened June 9th of this year, but it was a dream in the making for about 22 years.
Wow.
The founder of Circle of Life Hospice founded the foundation in 2002, and that was part of the plan the entire time, was to open up a guest house for those that are dying that don't have the means to pay for room and board or caregiving. And so we talked about it, and I think they tried years back and just hit a lot of red tape, and so it kind of got put on the back burner, and I too kept putting it on the back burner. It's a lot of work, but we have
It's scary too. It's a new concept.
It's the only one of its kind in the state of Nevada.
Crazy.
And we have a very competent board that we assembled, and just all the right people and all the right places, and Chaz actually just pushed me and said, "You got to stop talking about it." And so we did it, and I believe we've just moved our 36th patient in on 36, Friday. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And Dr. Larry Wise, if you guys want to listen back, we had him on a few weeks ago, and it was so interesting to hear his perspective as well for donating the house. And he's a part of the board, right? And
that's correct. Yeah.
And is such a vital part. And I know a lot of your board members, great board members. So, great people.
And great advisors. We've got some amazing advisors who have been in this field for years and years, and lobbyists, and those who have worked for the state, and Health and Human Services. And so, all the right key players. And then, of course, we've got Chaz, who doesn't ever sleep. So, we've been able to get a lot accomplished. But, yeah, we're very proud. And so for those that don't know, it's a guest house, but it's absolutely free of charge.
Wow.
And so it's for those that don't have the means. And for a group home, it can range anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. Assisted livings can cost $8,000 a month, and 24-hour care is upward of $25,000 a month.
Really, nobody has that many. I mean, there's a few 1%, but that's it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but I did want to give a shout out to Circle of Life, because part of the reason this is even possible is because of Michelle owning the Circle Life Hospice. What people don't realize, and why we solely use Circle Life Hospice, is because when we take a patient there on the for-profit side, Michelle invests so much into the different disciplines coming in constantly, and extra nursing visits and nurses being there, that it could even lose money sometimes or break even. Not always, but the majority of the time. And it's because you've invested that partnership with the Circle Life Hospice Foundation. So I wanted to thank you on air, because a lot of people don't see that piece. But even if we had other hospices, it would never work, because they would not invest in that. And that's nothing against them. But also it took the expertise. Circle Life Hospice is only one of only two in the entire state of Nevada that's 5-star Medicare rated out of 145 hospices last time I checked, and that says a lot about how you run the Circle Life Hospice, because of Deb.
Yeah, actually, it's because of Deb. The founder, her motto was, if you put patients before profits and always do the right thing, you will always be the best. And our goal is not to be the biggest. We'll never be the biggest, nor do we want to, but we do want to be the best. And in order to be the best is sometimes you don't count the cost. And if a patient needs something, you just do it. And it's not always the most profitable.
No, right.
Yeah.
It's not. But it's a great thing to do for the community. It really is. That being said, let's move on to our next event.
Well, I did want to just recap with it. So what you can expect at the ribbon cutting, just so people who haven't attended a Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting, is we're going to have a few speakers, a few testimonies, some videos, and what's really neat is you're going to get a sneak peek of what's going to be taking place at the gala. You can buy tickets there, as well as the Harley Davidson raffle, which you can, for $20 you can get a ticket to win a Harley.
Yeah, and I'm going to try and see if we can get the Harley down there.
That'd be awesome.
If the Harley's there at the
RPM.
at the ribbon cutting.
So for your dad that asked all those questions, Dave, he can see it. He can sit on it gently.
You can touch it.
My dad
just-
loves his Harleys.
Just touch it. You can't sit on it.
Oh, excuse me. You can touch it.
Jazz, you're getting us in trouble. What
I
are you
got
doing,
overrode.
man?
You can touch
Jeez.
it.
We'll have to ask Mark. We'll see if Mark will allow it.
Oh, we'll see.
And
Probably not.
Thank you to who's also a board member at Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet. Thank
Yep.
you to Mark Franke, who, in honor of his best friend and brother, who was like a brother, Danny, their family and Mark donated the Harley to the guest house for the cause, which is truly just incredible. You know, he lost his battle to cancer, I believe, correct?
Correct.
A while back. So we just want to honor him and thank him, and maybe we can flash the Harley on the screen.
Can
Dave,
I? I don't
during
know.
that.
Maybe it will go by. Who
Yeah,
knows?
and then you could also put the picture of baby Stevie cry. It'd be like,
I might. Just for you, bud.
but come on down, and we're gonna be having dignitaries speak, and so
Yeah.
it'll be a great time. If you've never been to Reno Public Market, the food, the drinks, the music, it's just a wonderful atmosphere.
I'm definitely going to go get a beer and hang out and be a part of it. So it's going to be
Awesome.
a lot of fun. The next event, Chaz,
No, you go ahead.
I don't know a lot about it. I know enough. And I didn't write a lot. I didn't write a lot because I have Chaz here, who's with
Well,
Circle of Life.
I'll take
Michelle.
it. I'll take it. Yeah. Another thing that I have been talking about for the last 11, 12 years, dream was to have a big black tie affair and a fundraiser. And so we are doing our first dignity dinner is what we're calling it. And it's on April 11th and it's at the Nugget and our tickets are $125. We'll be capping out at 340 guests.
Wow.
We will have the Harley will be there, and the Harley will be auctioned off that night. We have some great auction items as well as silent auction items, and of course the Harley is a raffle. There will be some speakers. There will be family members. I believe 3, maybe 4 family members of guests that we have served to come and talk about, give testimony to what the guest house did and what it meant to their dad, brother, whomever they are.
Powerful.
It'll be very powerful. We have some video, which, by the way, you cut. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Video of some special guests who, before their death, were able to share their thanks and say some words to their family members that they hadn't talked to, which we won't be playing that, but we have a lot of great footage so we can really tell the story to the people that are that'll be there that day. So it's really a hard concept to wrap your mind around. We're doing it, and sometimes we have to stop and go, okay, wait a minute, this is our business, but this is our foundation, and
Right.
and so it's kind of and if I could have a minute, and what we'll really be able to explain that night too is we have a partner with Consumer Direct, and they're a private duty caregiving company, and they will be there that night as well to speak a little bit, and so they actually employ the caregivers inside of the guest house,
Wow.
and we just guarantee their payment. So their employer is Consumer Direct. The foundation just owns the house thanks to Dr. Larry Weiss and his gift, and we make sure that there's beds available for the guests that needs it. They consent for caregiving with Consumer Direct, and then they also consent for hospice with Circle of Life Hospice.
Wow.
And so there's 3 different facets to
That's a lot.
it is, and it's sometimes hard it's hard to wrap your mind around, but that's what makes it a guest house, and it's really no different than if I wanted to take people home and die in my house, and I have done that.
Wow.
So, which was really the big push as to why we said we needed to do this, because there are so many people that don't have somebody at the end of life to love them, to care for them, to bathe them, to make sure that they get their meds, just all the things, and it's not okay.
Right, it's not. People need to be able to have a place to pass with dignity. I mean, that's huge, and unfortunately, there's not a lot out there. Period for people in those situations. So, I want to say on behalf of Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet, thank you for being a micro closet partner. The way you guys are, how we are able to work together and be able to get those clients at the guest house very specific clothing that they need with the wish list and everything else. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, we were looking for sheets, and then we had an extra bag from you, so thank you. It helps to be able to have those sheets stick, because when you're dying and there's lots of different transitions taking place, and so to be able to keep them clean and comfortable, it's super important. Hope and dignity.
Hope and dignity, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And the dignity dinner, it's hard to say dignity dinner gala, but the dignity dinner is going to be our annual fundraiser.
Cool.
And the reason why we need to raise more money is because we need more beds. And the gift from Dr. Weiss, the house and the land behind the house, was an amazing gift. But we need more beds. It's a small 2-bedroom house, and we've been able to manage now 4 beds in there. But we will be looking to sell the property and buy a larger house.
Wow.
and maybe a house where we can convert a couple bedrooms into a living room and help maybe 8 to 10 people. And I'll let Chaz give you the statistics. But we can help a lot more people. We're turning away 4 to 6 people for every one person we're helping. So more beds means more help, and less people that die without a loved one, who die in pain or die in the hospital, and that's not where they want to die.
No.
And or maybe go to the CARES campus and die there alone. So I'll let you kind of talk about stats.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. But you're right, 100%. I don't even know where it's going. Got me all flustered. It's something so special to my heart, just as it is yours. I know I was going to say, and people don't realize we're fully transparent. It's not just the expansion. To keep it up and operating and the doors open as well, it costs us $340,000 a year. And not a lot of communities, that's why a lot of states don't have this concept, is it's very expensive. But we're very, very blessed to have this here in the Reno-Sparks area. And so we have to keep that open for those seniors in all ages. But also the expansion. We could take the majority of the need right now if we were able to get into that larger property.
Absolutely. Yes. And of that $340,000, it is 98.5% caregiving costs.
Yeah.
So we have a caregiver 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We don't have a house payment. We have property taxes and some utilities, and none of our board members are paid. We're all volunteer, and so hence why so many people don't have a caregiver at the end of life. It's very expensive. So we're trying to create a space where, it can be, we need the community's help, because like Chas said, maybe 1% of the population can afford to have that type of care.
Crazy.
And
that is crazy.
And Renown, just a few weeks ago, they were at capacity for those beds.
Oh, really?
I mean, so it is a huge, it's a more critical need than people realize until they're in that situation. But we'll cover that in a minute. But definitely buy a ticket if you haven't. They're going fast. You can get it at colhospice.com. And it's going to be an amazing night. We have a chicken plate and then a vegan plate. Other option just for Dave and Nika and whoever else is a vegetarian.
You guys didn't need to do that.
I did it.
Yeah, she did.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chas said it didn't matter, but I said it did.
Yeah, I did. You're right.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
But we'll have the Harley there. There's a dance floor, a photo booth, pictures. Like Michelle said, silent auction or live auctioneer. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There will be drinks if you're into that. Wine, champagne, not open bar, cash bar. And then we have our friend Annie Woods moderating. So definitely a night you're not going to want to miss. Again, colhospice.com. And we'll talk more about the guest house in a minute. But we have another event. Our last event of the show.
Our last event is the Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet Wine and Dine event. That is a smaller fundraiser we're doing in partnership with Engine 8 Winery. They have donated the room and given us a discount for the wine and the pizza, because wine and pizza are going to be included in your ticket price of $88. That will be on May 15th. That's a Thursday night from 5 to 8, and it is going to be a fun event. Definitely come and be a part of it. And it's going to be great. I don't know, local wine is always good. It really is. And I don't know, have you been to Engine 8 before?
I haven't. Sounds like something to do with a train.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
That's correct. They named it after that the engine in Sparks on Victorian Avenue. That's kind of sitting
I didn't
there.
realize that.
So
that makes sense.
It's called Engine 8, and it's really good local wine. Normally a glass by itself from Engine 8 Winery is like $16, $17 because it's specialty local wine, and it's really tasty. Nika and I went a few weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun.
And where is it? Where's it located?
It's over on Victorian Avenue, across the street from the Nugget, so next to the theater over there. Okay. So they used to have that splash pad. Do you remember the splash pad thing?
I do. I used to, not Lily, my sister would go there. My little sister, Ashlyn.
Okay.
We would take her there during the summer. And
just run through the water. Yeah.
Oh, I'd run through the water too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd push the other kids. I'd be like, get out of the way. This one's mine.
I don't doubt that.
No.
There's going to be live music as well, right, Dave?
Yeah, they're live music. They're actually donating that too. They're going to pay for a band to be there. So Engine 8 really cares about us. Wendy and Mike over there are great people, and they are really serving us in this way. So thank you so much, Wendy and Mike. And it's all in support of Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet, and we may have some bigger announcements during that event. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. So please get your tickets now. May 15th is coming up.
Well, let's get into our resource, and I love this part of the podcast because we really get to learn about the human behind I hate to say not mask, but we get to learn about the heart of who you are and why you do what you do. So tell us a little bit about, you obviously have a huge team and lots of people who support you, but what drove you to become a part of Hospice and then ultimately the foundation, and how did that story start? If you feel comfortable. I know it's tough.
Yeah. So, hang on. I got to get some water.
It's powerful, though, when we hear what drives us.
Got to hydrate if you're going to cry.
Bonus tier.
I'm not going to cry.
Bonus points for Craig.
So, I say that hospice began with my mom when my mom was dying in 2005. But in reality, my grandfather, when I was 8, 9, 10, I believe, he was dying of brain cancer. And so I saw him in a hospital bed in the dining room, in the living room, for a few Christmases, a few holidays. And so it just kind of was, I saw it at a very young age. And I watched the family take care of him. And of course I was young, but it wasn't scary. Grandpa had cancer and we all were there, for the holidays to be with him. And then a few years later, my mom had a dear friend of hers who had no children and was dying. And so my mom would go over and help take care of her every day. And then I would go. And so I watched my mom have that love and compassion for her friend Maxine. And then, oh gosh, my father had a massive stroke when I was 18. He was only 47, but he became paralyzed and couldn't walk or talk again. And he lived 10 years. And so caregiving and just, all of that just was part of my life. And then my mom, I was 37, she was 63, was diagnosed with colon cancer and given 60 days to live.
So young too.
So young, and that's why everyone should get a colonoscopy. If she had, she would, maybe she'd still be here. She'd be in her late 80s, or not late 80s, she'd be 83. But she lived in Carson City. And I lived in Susanville at the time. I lived in the rural area, and I was fortunate enough to. I had young kids, but I was able to take her home. My stepfather really wasn't in a place to take care of her, and it was going to be a fast death. And so I took her home with me. And there is no hospice in Susanville in the rural area, and which is very much. There's so many rural areas in Nevada that do not provide hospice. So what I had to do was learn how to just take care of her. And I was able to talk my physician into coming into the house and establishing care and made sure that I had at least medications that I needed, but pretty much taught me how to do a catheter and taught me how to clean her wound and take care of her. And my mom was one of the coolest people when it came to she had a really good sense of humor, and she told it like it was, and she didn't mince words. And so she made end of life look beautiful, if for lack of a better word. She had a very beautiful death. Lots of things took place, forgiveness, from people that she needed to ask forgiveness of, and vice versa. Grandkids needed to come in and say goodbye. And so the doctor said she had 60 days to live, and she lived for 60 days.
Wow.
And so maybe 2 or 3 days before she passed, she was giving me my last talk and words of wisdom, and told me that I need to be in hospice. And I told her she was nuts, that I would never do what I did for her, for anybody. And but I did it because I loved her. And so
she knew, though.
She knew. She said, you need to do this. And so my daughter was 7, I believe, at the time. And so she and I just started dreaming all these years that we would do something for people who were dying, whether it be have a house where we could take care of them, or we could have a foundation where we could make sure that they had, family members that had to be flown in, and airline tickets. And I was in a position, I was blessed that I could pay for a lot of that. And I could have a grandson come in and say goodbye from another state. And I could host a lot of family members and make sure everybody was fed. But not everybody has that. And so my daughter, Bobby, and I always said we were going to do something, and we didn't know what that looked like. And fast forward years later, I want to say 2013, I met Deb Gerard, and I always worked in media, so I was talking to her about advertising, and she offered me a job. I didn't ask for the job. She told me I needed to come to work, and I just felt like it was something. It was divine. My mom had something to do with it. God had something to do with it, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And she said, you're going to combine all of your talents and skills in business operation with your love for hospice, and that's what you're going to do. And then I jokingly said, then I'm going to buy it from you one day too, which so I'm a firm believer in manifestation, because I said it and I did it. But and so that's how I got here. And then her dream was always to have this hospice house, but she got busy. The founder's daughter died on our service. Her only child died. And I think I met her 3 years later, and she was grieving pretty badly and kind of had lost her umph for even running the business. And I was still grieving my mom, and she was grieving her daughter. So we just really bonded. And she trusted me, and she just kind of handed me the keys to the company and said, I trust you. And so I just stepped into that role, and
Wow.
And then I guess fast forward.
Well, I just want to add, you had a natural talent and calling for it, and she saw that. She knew you had the heart and the competency, and taught you a lot, helped you. But then she just handed it off, because she knew it was you. You were meant to carry that vision on.
She knew she could trust me, and I would keep her word. And I made her 3 promises, and that was that I was always put patients before profits, and I would never, ever sell to a corporation, and then I would finish her dream of opening the guest house. And
You've kept those.
And I've kept them, and I'm very proud to have kept them. And but I do have to tell you about a special gentleman named James. James was really the catalyst that pushed. When I met Chaz, I think it was in 2019. He would say, "Why aren't you doing it? What about this guest house?" And I'd say, "Oh, Chaz, it's so much work. We're going to do it one day.
I had no comprehension.
We're going to do it one day."
A regulation.
And I'd say, "Chaz, it's so much work. It's like and he'd say, "Well, we got to do it." And so there was this special patient named James, and I won't go into all the details, but he had spent many years in prison for committing a crime that was. Someone had murdered his daughter years and years ago, and he took the life of somebody and spent years in prison, and was only paroled when they found out that he was terminal. And so he found himself homeless and couch surfing, and then he found us, and he had no family, no kids, no wife, nobody. And a few of us at the circle just really loved him, and he had a couple of dreams, and that was he wanted to have coffee on a back porch with company and friends. And we made that happen. We had him come to my house. I was renting a house in the South at the time, and had a beautiful porch. And I said, what other dream do you have? And he wanted a truck. And then he ended up doing a lot of handyman jobs, and he ended up buying himself a truck. But he was a really proud man and strong man, and he didn't want any handouts. And when it was cold, I would track him down and say, "Hey, I'm going to put you in a motel for a while. I can't have you on the street." And we just loved him, and it's really hard to explain it. We love all of our patients, but some of them are just so special. Yeah. And as soon as it got to like 38 degrees, he'd say, "I can't stay here anymore. I can't take your money." And I was using the foundation dollars, because we've had this nonprofit since 2002, and donations we never solicited, but donations would just come in.
Right.
And fast forward, he was getting closer and closer, and he was couch surfing, and he was in a really bad place. And he was in what I would call a drug den. I'm not sure.
A trap house for sure.
Yeah.
Drug den.
So I ended up taking him home, which is highly...
But she told me to go get him. So I go in this drug house, I grab him, and I'm thinking to myself, you're taking this, and he's like family, but you're taking this man home on your couch to die as the owner and CEO of the hospice.
Yeah.
So, but it says who you are, and
I was scared.
Incredible.
I was scared, and I called Deb and I said, "Am I breaking any laws?" And she said, "Nope, you're not breaking the law." She said, "You are doing what the true heart of hospice is. You just need to take a sabbatical and stay with him at your house and take care of him." And I did, and I don't regret it. At all.
That's crazy. That is a crazy story.
I loved him. And he died with such dignity. He died, Chaz, and...
Wow. I mean, I want you guys to picture this. This man is dying. This man spent so much of his life in jail for murdering the person who murdered his daughter. He's sitting there on the couch, laying down on the couch, surrounded by 4 to 5 people who've basically just became like family at Michelle's house. Michelle's sitting there holding his hand. That earlier that day or the day before, he got a shot of whiskey and a favorite shake. Correct me if I'm wrong. Strawberry shake. And here he is.
Was it good whiskey?
Oh yeah, it was
Michelle's got good whiskey,
it?
I guess.
It was. I think it was probably
I'm
Bullet.
a whiskey guy.
It was Bullet, I think.
Bullet?
And he
Okay.
wasn't a drinker, but he said, I'm going to have that. I'm going to have a shot of whiskey with you before I go. And it didn't go well with the strawberry shake.
No, those don't go well together.
But he had again what I would call a good death.
Yeah.
And he was not in pain. He was surrounded, and he told me, I want Jesse here and I want Chaz here. And so he kind of gave me the, hey, it's time. And I called him, and we all just sat we just sat with him and held him, and he died on my couch, and he dies. I sit there every night. That's the spot I sit on, and I have no regrets. But when I did go back to work Monday, pretty exhausted, Chaz looked at me and said, "We're not talking about it anymore." And I think you started pushing buttons and making meetings that you made me go to, and here we are.
And I just want to say, we always say this, but it's not about dying in hospice. It's about living for whatever time remains with the best quality and to the fullest potential. And that's what James got to do. And so why just James, right? There's so many seniors and even adults and sometimes even pediatric patients who need that love and support, whether they have families or not. And so, it's just incredible how quickly it evolved. And having people, I want to give Tara Bell a shout out. She helped really formulate the partnership with Consumer Direct and looking at regulations. Connie McMullen, who owns Senior Spectrum, and Wendy Simmons, who opened up the State of Nevada Veterans Home. I mean, just an amazing group of people. But it's so amazing to hear. It took you as a leader stepping up and saying, "I'm ready to do this."
I just want to say from like the human side, human, right? You have experienced and seen in many facets. I know we all experience death. We all experience these things, absolutely. But you did hospice. Do you understand what I'm saying? You did it. So as the leader, you know what you're asking of your staff. You know what you're asking of the people in the foundation.
Yes.
You have that experience, and that matters. Like you really do. And you can feel it. Maybe not originally what you thought you were going to be doing at this point, but
I know I owned a gun shop before this.
There you go.
And an auto parts store, an insurance broker.
So for
And I wouldn't do anything different. And that's the thing. And
it's crazy.
It's a calling.
Awesome. It has
it's
to be.
definitely a calling. And I say this all the time, and I know it's someone else said it, coined it, but it's God doesn't qualify the called. He calls the qualified.
No, he doesn't call the qualified. You're right. No,
he doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
It's one of my favorites.
Absolutely, that's great.
And this is a calling, and everybody
Wow.
who works for us, whether it be a chaplain, a social worker, a nurse, all of our staff, volunteers, there's a reason why they're there. They were called to be there.
That's powerful. I'm gonna give that one.
I mean,
fireworks.
Is it gonna work? I don't know. It doesn't work as well now that you're not in the center.
Here, try it, Michelle.
I like this one.
Yeah, that one. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Oh no, it's
not working.
Well,
See?
that's awkward.
See, all of our listeners are like, "What's happening behind the camera?" We're trying to make emojis come on the screen. That's what we're doing. But seriously, it's super powerful because it could have. It's a calling, right? Mm-hmm. And if someone was in your position that was not called to do what you were doing, that could have been very dangerous for a lot of people. It really could have.
And it probably would never have happened because the people that jumped on the board that are the top people, the OGs as I call them, the senior community who work as lobbyists and all of that, they wouldn't just jump on with anybody. I mean, it had to be someone they respected and knowing that they could trust the process and how it was going to be facilitated. And
so, I mean, just hearing that story, hearing your experience with James, hearing that experience with your mother, like, it's more than just a hospice company and then the hospice foundation, right? Mm-hmm. It's more than that.
No, it's love.
It's a movement.
It definitely is a movement. And I also did tell James early on when he was still up and about, and I say strong. I've got pictures where he looks strong, and he would break down and cry and with me privately and say, "Michelle, what am I going to do in the end? Where am I going to die? Am I going to die in my car?" And I just looked at him one day. I would have him come in and have lunch, and we would have a bunch of leftovers to send with them. And I looked at him and I just said, "If you will come to my house, worst case scenario. We're working on a hospice house, which we really weren't. It was still a dream." Yeah. And I said, I will personally take care of you, and you have my word. And the day that Chaz brought him to my house, and I met you guys there. He had slept on a cot, or he had slept on concrete. He had never had a bed. He'd never had a bed. And I put him in my son's room, and I said, "Hey, do you want a hospital bed?" And he said, "Michelle, I already feel like I'm in heaven." And then he would spend the days in my living room, and it's really bright, and I have a lot of lights, and he'd say, "I think I'm already in heaven, Michelle." And then he would cry and hold my hand and say, you kept your word. And I had to, I'm a firm believer in keeping your word. I didn't know that I was going to be able to keep this word, but I did, and he died. He died with a smile on his face, and he died knowing that he was loved, and more loved than he had ever been, and trusted. He spent his whole life looking over his shoulder to not be shanked.
When you're dying, you're so vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm.
And the last words I whispered in his ear right before he took his last breath was, "You're going somewhere where you're never going to be betrayed again." And he exhaled, and that was it.
Wow.
Powerful.
Well, did you want to share? So there's some videos. There's some other things that I have access to, and for the upcoming Dignity Dinner. Mm-hmm. Is there any of those videos you'd like to share right now?
Oh, I'd love to share Rudy.
Okay.
Rudy was another very, very special man who was in our guest house, and I call him my Hispanic James.
Is that one of the videos we have access to?
That's
great.
One of the ones you cut.
So, all right, we'll let it roll.
If anybody were to come to us and want to make a donation to help us build a bigger house, to help more people, if you could be there, what would you tell them?
Because this is a real need in the community. People go through seeing darkness all the time. That's not right.
No. I'm glad we had a bed for you.
Me too.
I'm glad we could get you over here so you could be safe. No more falling down,
I
doing backflips.
know. I don't want to be stuck behind the toilet in the wall no more. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us and to share your experience. And we appreciate it, and we love you.
I love you too.
We do love you.
Love you so
I
much.
really love you too.
All right. Wow. It was such a powerful video, and he was an amazing man. I did want to add something. So, for anybody out there, you also gave James purpose, just like Rudy, because Rudy was really excited to be able to make a video to help others to raise money for the guest house. But James, before he died, he actually signed away all his rights, knowing that his story, so there was no HIPAA issues, could be used to help launch the guest house, and we have done that, and that was so meaningful to him to have that purpose.
Crazy.
So I just wanted to share that. It's pretty amazing.
But my intention was to take his story and find an author and write a book. I believe James' story. Have you ever seen the movie The Shack or read the book The Shack?
Very similar.
I know about it. No.
Very similar, and I do believe. And James, I have hours and hours and hours of talking with James and notes about his life, and I'm not a writer, but his story would sell, and I used to tell him that if I can get someone to write this or make a movie out of your story, you'll fund the hospice house, and I won't have to take anybody home again.
I know a few writers, so off camera we can definitely talk about that a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, it's super powerful. Both stories are powerful, and there's going to be more videos and all sorts of different things for the Dignity Dinner coming up. Some different videos with subtitles and whatnot, right?
Yeah, and I just wanted to also give a last shout out that it's not just about caring for the guests, though it is. Sometimes they have families, sometimes not. We become their families, but it's also about providing grief support and love after the guest passes and being able to. I remember one individual, the family was there, and his name was Brad, and he had grandkids coming in and kissing him goodbye and laying with him, just like Rudy did. The reconciliation we see sometimes, which is not, it doesn't happen all the time in the real world, but the guest house, it's happened quite a bit, where the family members who had disagreements, they come and they mend and they forgive each other. And it's just the community aspect of all the support from Hospice, the foundation, and Consumer Direct. It's really, it's one of a kind, and everybody should be able to have that if they need it. A safe place for a beautiful goodbye. And as Michelle says, no one should die alone.
Yep, that's true.
It's true.
Yep.
Well, talking about reconciliation, Chaz, I signed us up for marital counseling.
Well, that's good.
Hey, can you sign me up too? There's a rumor going around.
What? Uh-oh. I'm not saying nothing.
Time to wrap up
Hold
the show.
on, no, there's one more thing I did want to say. On a more somber, but no, the reason I was mentioning that, though, is because one really special piece about Michelle's heart for serving the grief support side is her son. The room that James stayed in was her 16-year-old son, Clay's room, and he passed away, unfortunately, at 16 in a motor vehicle accident. But you've used that you've turned pain into purpose with that as well. And we've had friends who used to come to the support group that you, like Katie, that you became very close with. And, unfortunately she got in a motorcycle accident, became an actual organ donor, which is so rare, and became a donor hero. But, it's amazing how God's placed so many people in your life and intertwined all that pain to help others. And so it's just amazing, as that we say, see it full circle, and all the different facets. But I want to give Claybug a shout out, and also Bobby, who's Michelle's daughter, because it was her and Michelle and their grandma's dream, talking about those different things. And it's just amazing to see the family legacy, and then the extended family through the different employees and staff, and just the people coming alongside us in the community. So
Yeah, and I do want to thank my son as well. And it is, I do this for my mom, but my son's with me all day long, and I could just sit down and have not gone forward, but that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And he's right. If you turn pain into purpose, you'd be surprised how much you can get done.
Wow.
It's healing. And so if
That's
you're out there, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I just want to put, if you're out there and you're struggling, please know you're not alone. You can call us at 775-827-2298. Call 988 if you're feeling suicidal ideations or in a dark place. But also, we have some great free grief support groups that the Circle Life Hospice does for all kinds of losses. It's on the first and third Tuesday of every month at 3:30 p.m., but you can go to colhospice.com. And we also provide, thanks to Michelle, one-on-one grief counseling if that's something you need. You just need someone safe to talk to in person. We're here for you. And just know that legacy is carrying on in honor of people like Clay and Allie, who is Deb's daughter. And yeah.
And if people want to donate, where do they donate?
colhospice.com.
/foundation.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, it definitely. And you guys use Zephy as well, which we use Zephy, which is great because it's a fee-free platform. And we always try to bring that up because people always say, oh, I don't want the other people to get my money. Well, you know what? They don't have to anymore.
You gotta tell Michelle how you lost this $300 referral bonus.
Oh my gosh. I tried.
So
I emailed them.
Good Shepherd
I emailed them.
up.
Hey, we've
and
already saved $300 by not paying PayPal.
We've saved over 1,000
I'm
by
sure.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an awesome system.
It is nice.
Hey, I gave you training on it. How about that?
You did. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a great system, and you guys are a great partner. Circle of Life Foundation has done so many things for the community, and it's growing, and I hope I can support you guys in any ways I can. One of the ways we hope to support you guys is through one of the organizations I'm a part of, SOSJ, which they're going to be on the show pretty soon, and we're going to have a fundraiser at the end of the year. So more on that soon.
Yeah, and thank you to SOSJ for picking us. Is that public? Yeah, because there's
it's public.
City Lights, which will be, it's not going to be at Arrow Creek this year. It'll actually be in Brian's backyard, which is...
more details to come. Our board has to debate on how we're going to do it.
Okay,
So.
how do I get you in trouble?
Yeah, no, you can't get me in trouble. Don't worry.
Well, I'm excited to see the plaque and the room dedication. It's going to be beautiful.
It's going to be great. So we're excited to be able to help you guys out with that. And so,
Thank you.
just like Chaz and I are, we all got all these hats.
Yeah.
we're
I call
wearing
it
all
trench
the time.
coats. Chaz, that's why he wears that big
all my
coat.
stuff.
He's got about 14 different business
I
cards in there.
thought you were going to offer me a watch. Several watches. You want to watch, bud?
I got to tell you, though, that board of SOSJ, some tough cookies.
It's such a great organization, and it's an honor to be part of it.
Yeah, well, thank you for all your help with that, and we're excited. So
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to learn more about Good Shepherd's Clothes Closet, please visit getclothes.org. We always need financial help, clothing donations, and volunteers to come and make this happen. Another way you can support us is just by sharing this podcast with a friend. There is nothing wrong with sharing some good news about what nonprofits and other public figures are doing in the area, right? So, it worked there for you. There you go.
that's a thumbs up, though.
One of them.
So disappointed.
We're,
Got to go back to the center.
I guess. I don't know, buddy. I could never make it work, remember? Maybe it's because I was always on the side.
Oh, well.
I like to see you guys separated, though. I was going to say.
That was Michelle's idea.
That was Michelle's idea. We were at the radiothon. She's like, have you thought of that? And I'm like, no. Okay, maybe. All right,
poor
that's a good
guest.
idea.
Plus, I think the guest should be in the center.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's true.
Makes
It makes sense. It makes sense.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. We help over 800 people a month, no matter what. We're asking you to come alongside and help one. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye,
you.
thank
Thanks
you.
for having me, Dave.
Thanks for being
and
here.
Chaz.
Yeah.
I'll see you back at the office.
Okay.